The Las Vegas Raiders backfield has been a topic of intrigue lately, with Josh Jacobs being sidelined due to a lingering groin injury throughout the last month of the season, and during his absence, second-year running back Zamir White seized the opportunity, showcasing his talent with solid performances on the field. During this time period, Zamir White has rushed for a total of 397 yards, one rushing touchdown, and approximately 4.73 yards per carry throughout those 4 games. So although Zamir White has had a much smaller sample size than Josh Jacobs, you can see that he was technically more productive than Jacobs this season in the limited amount of snaps he had. This whole situation has just sparked discussions about the future of the Raiders running game, especially considering the Josh Jacobs contract situation. Now, Jacobs being the cornerstone of the Raiders rushing attack throughout the past 5 years, with him being sidelined for a whole month and his overall drop in production has definitely raised some concerns about his durability and his potential value moving forward, especially considering the importance of managing the cap salary effectively. Adding to the situation is Josh Jacobs' contract renewal that is due this offseason as he heads into the final year where he was on the franchise tag. Negotiations for a new contract are on the horizon. However, his recent injury woes might prompt the Raiders management to evaluate their options more carefully. In the absence of Josh Jacobs, Zamir White has stepped up, displaying his prowess as a potential starting running back. His performances have not only filled the gap left by Jacobs, but have also raised questions about the team's future plans for the running back position. Could Zamir White be a legit option to be the starter next season? One of the most crucial factors in this evaluation is just the financial aspect. Jacobs, as a former first-round pick, may command a substantial contract extension, and this may lead Josh Jacobs to test free agency market to try to secure his future financially. Lately, the running back market has not been friendly to current running backs, so this makes it such a difficult situation to navigate through for both the Raiders and for Josh Jacobs. And on the contrast, Zamir White is still on his rookie deal, meaning that the Raiders have a lot more flexibility with the cap if they choose not to pay Jacobs and continue with Zamir White, or if they drafted a running back. Now, the financial leverage could sway the decision-making process, especially considering the team's cap space and the need to allocate resources strategically across various different positions on the roster. Has Josh Jacobs played his final snaps in the silver and black? It's tough to say, because I also think this will greatly depend on who our next head coach is. If Antonio Pierce is retained as the full-time coach, I see a decent possibility of Josh Jacobs returning. Still, it will likely have to be on some type of team-friendly deal, as I don't see us making him one of the highest paid running backs, especially considering the fact that he's coming off of a down season and he's coming off of an injury. Now, if we sign a high-profile name like Jim Harbaugh, I see it being very complicated for Jacobs to return, and he may just go ahead and draft his own running back of the future, so there's no guarantee that Zamir White would get the opportunity if a guy like Harbaugh came in. I mean, the Michigan running back Blake Corum is coming out this year in the draft, so that could be definitely an option if Harbaugh landed in Las Vegas. But the head coach will have a huge say in what we do at the running back position next season, and it's just an overall very interesting topic. Josh Jacobs brings the experience, consistency, and a proven track record, but his recent injury history and his dip in production might raise concerns about his long-term reliability and value down the line, especially since we could use that money on other positions throughout the roster. And on the other hand, Zamir White has shown promise in his limited opportunities, offering a potential cost-effective solution while allowing the team to allocate resources elsewhere on the roster. If you don't pay Jacobs, you can afford a starter on the offensive line and potentially like another starter on defense. So definitely something to keep in mind. And the Raiders face a significant decision regarding their backfield with the emergence of Zamir White, adding just an intriguing dynamic. The choice between retaining the established Josh Jacobs or transitioning to somebody younger, considering both on-field production and financial considerations. This decision will undoubtedly shape the team's future rushing game. As the offseason approaches, the Raiders face a pivotal decision that will impact the team's offensive strategy identity, and the financial flexibility of this team. Whoever is our next head coach, this will be one of his first decisions they have to make. Personally, I think there's a good chance Jacobs may not return to the silver and black, as I think he will ultimately end up testing free agency, and at that point he may just go to the highest bidder. We'll just have to see how the running back market looks for a guy like Josh Jacobs. Now, Jacobs does have a lot of love for this franchise and a lot of respect for Antonio Pierce, so maybe something could be worked out if Antonio Pierce is retained. But if we don't keep AP, then I see it being very difficult to bring back Josh Jacobs next season. Ultimately, I think the Raiders are going to have the leverage when it comes to contract negotiations with Jacobs. I think the most important thing that the Raiders need to focus on in this offseason is to improve the offensive line, because you can make the argument that a big reason why Josh Jacobs' production fell this season was due to the offensive line not being as good as it was last season. And that's why it's also hard to justify paying a lot of money for a running back, because running backs more often than not are dependent on the 5 guys in front of them, the offensive line. To me, it's a much bigger priority to ensure the offensive line is good, to invest money and resources on the O-line, and once you can get a good O-line that can open up holes, at that point the running back position is almost interchangeable. There's young guys in the draft that are coming in and making direct impact on teams year in and year out. So that's my thought process. But Raider Nation, I definitely want to get your guys' feedback on this topic. Do you think Josh Jacobs will be back in the silver and black? Do you think Zamir White has a shot to be the starter next season? Let me know in the comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that is all for you guys in today's video. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.